into a full depth review on the Aniioki A8 Pro Max e-bike. This is a newer company, but their claim to fame here is this fat battery, the 60 amp hour, 48 volt, or 52 volt if you want to buy the more premium model. It's just a beast of a bike with so much battery power. It can go a solid, like legitimate 100 miles, throttle only at a top speed, which they claim is pushing over 30 miles an hour. I'm gonna look from the front to the back here on some of the pieces or parts. So we got 20-inch fat, 4-inch wide tires. So unfortunately no mag wheels here. It's just kind of hub and spoke method here. The brakes are 180 millimeters by 3 millimeters wide. So they are a little bit on the thicker side, a little beefier. And we do feature some hydraulic brakes here. They are a random brand, XOD. But they get the job done. They're pretty strong. Front suspension, BMX style. Unfortunately, no lockout of any kind. So it just kind of is what it is. Pretty bright headlight, kind of blue LED color. I'll turn that on later. Up at the top on the cockpit, we got the two brakes. Again, nice strong hydraulic with lockout handlebar grips. Right hand throttle, twist throttle. Shimano standard issuance for e-bikes shifter. A nice display, which I'll show. Got your control panel and then another lockout on the left side. I did have a small issue when the bike was delivered where they did not provide this screw right here. So I did have to email them, and within 2 days I got shipped the screw that was missing. So I was able to get my handlebars nice and secure. One thing, design flaw even, you got to make sure you know about this thing, is right here is the key, which you don't need to operate the bike. The bike actually just kind of it realizes the battery's there and the battery can power things. But this key, the key to kind of get the battery out, if you leave the key in this hole and the handlebars get twisted to the right, you can actually shear off the key, especially if you put a little force into it, because you can see how it kind of covers it. So basically they just go snap. And so that's a design flaw that you have to just be mentally cognizant of so that you don't screw that up. Cable management is looking pretty awesome. I like that they wrapped it up. Most of the cables just kind of hide away underneath the bottom of the frame there. Bike's pretty heavy at 101 pounds. It is made of aluminum. The other model, the AQ177 Pro Max, is carbon steel and weighs another 11 pounds. So that sucks. It's already too heavy to begin with, in my opinion. With a 350-pound weight capacity, this thing is definitely suited to even support some of the heavier riders. We got a pretty good size chainring here. Not exactly sure of the teeth. The pedals are a random brand I've never heard of. Neko. The metal here, though, for the pedals is a little weak. If I stand on the pedals, I see them bending a lot, which I've not really experienced before on other bikes. So you maybe want to upgrade that piece. That rear suspension, dual rear suspension. I do love how the suspension is featured in this architecture here, because it leaves the rear rack open so that you could put like a pannier bag at on top, and you're not going to get into like the rubbing. So this whole area just kind of stays structurally as is, even though things can kind of jiggle around with the shocks. Pretty standard freewheel with, I believe it's 28 teeth down to 14. Wish it was an 11 toother. That's really the way to go, in my opinion, with these 20-inch tires. Just you can't go as fast. You start losing the pedal authority around the 20 mile per hour mark. So if you want to keep helping your motor, it's hard to do that. Got a Turney Shimano derailleur back here. I did have to make a couple adjustments out of the box to the derailleur, just because I think things kind of stretched. Does come with a derailleur guard. The AQ177, the other model that's a step through, does not come with this. However, they offer it as a separate option if you email them. You kind of see how the wheel gets installed into the frame there. So you just kind of slide it backwards. Back at the motor, the motor is rated up to 1,000 watts. And again, we got our 20-inch tires. The rims being a little bit weaker. Wish they were a stronger rim. The mag wheels on my Hemiway Big Dog are definitely a lot more sturdy than what we got going on here with the Aniioki. But what can you say? It's only about $2,000, and you get a lot of good hardware for that price here. The rear rack is on the wider side. Brake light or tail light will just remain steady on. However, when you press the brakes, it will just get brighter. So it's pretty conventional as far as brake lights are concerned. Brake caliper, again, pretty large. I'm not sure this brand, but these are definitely beefy brakes. So they do get the job done. Pretty standard kickstand. It does rattle a little bit when you kick it up and down. So something to note. Cadence sensor as far as the pedal assist is concerned. No special gizmos in there. No torque sensors. So you just crank the pedals and the motor goes, which the motor is very zippy. So takes some getting used to. The battery can be charged while on the bike. And you can see here, it's a little bit non-standard. We get this kind of 3-prong looking thing. The battery or the charger is definitely a cheap one, almost like concerningly cheap. I wish they had a little bit more quality put into that charger. But it does an 8 amps charging, so if you do the math, it can supposedly charge the battery in about 8 to 10 hours if it's totally dead. Yeah, so just kind of overviewing. Oh, almost forgot the worst part of this bike for sure is the seat. I really hate the seat. Is what it is. There's really nothing you can do about it. It's obviously not on a standard cylindrical seat post. It's rectangular for some reason. Kind of a stupid choice to limit customers to have to use this type of seat. And then the mounting structure is also a little silly. So there's really no way, this doesn't really conform to any other type of seat. So you're basically stuck with the seat that you get. And the seat is a little bit firm, and it's a little bit wide. So if you want to pedal this thing, you do have to get your legs a little bit apart from each other, or else you just keep rubbing the sides of the seat. So definitely not a feature I'm a fan of. I honestly almost wanted to return the bike because I just really couldn't stand the seat, but I've kind of just swallowed my concerns, and I think the rest of the bike makes up for the crappy seat, which hopefully one day Aniioki offers an option to either have like an improved or upgraded seat. I would buy it in a heartbeat. Anything but this seat would work better. Although this video is primarily focused on the first impressions, unboxing, and just looking at the bike, I did want to update you guys since I rode the bike, and I guess I've learned a few things. So let's first turn her on. I believe that you need to unlock it first before you turn it on, but I could be wrong. Nope, you can just press the center button and it works. So, but either way, I find myself having to tap this a few times, and it's doing something because there's this little red light, status light, but I guess not the most precise key fob in the world. And once you boot it up, it defaults to the screen here, and you notice that you're in pedal assist 1. That does mean that the throttle will start working if you twist it. So a little bit of a safety concern. I do prefer when a bike boots up that it be in pedal assist 0, just so it's just kind of an inert bike. Nothing's going to happen to it. And then when I'm good and ready, I put the pedal assist up and start kicking and getting the motor running. Anyway, easy to modify. The instructions, the manual tells you how to make adjustments, make modifications. One modification I made that I didn't realize was you can split the throttle so that the logic will enable you to get to the full speed with the throttle from any pedal assist. In the default state, if you're in pedal assist 1 and you crank the throttle, you're going to cap out at like 10 miles an hour with the throttle. So you basically have to bring the pedal assist up to the highest value to enable like the fastest speeds with the throttle. So I prefer to not have that limitation. There are other things you can change in the settings, like current draw, maximum speed, all that normal stuff, wheel diameter. Pretty self-explanatory, and you just go in there by pressing plus and minus at the same time, and it's not difficult. So just you can use the instructions, figure that out. But yeah, the bike is fast. The motor is kind of zippy, sometimes a little too much. You just move the pedals tiny bit, and it just cranks. It goes so fast, and then it will immediately stop. So it has a very jumpy motor, and I wish it was a little bit of a smoother experience. So something maybe they could work on in a future model. Even though I hate the seat, it is surprisingly comfortable. This thing eats up all the bumps, and it's just a pleasant experience. I do prefer to sit a little higher, and this is about as high as she'll get right here. I wish I could get a little higher just to not be, I feel like I'm waddling around as I pedal, but you can pedal, you can help it. And I wanted to demonstrate the lights. So let's take a quick look. It does take a second for it to fire up, and there's a little bit of a dimming that goes on. So your front headlight, it's bright, it's plenty bright. There is a little bit of cage on the front, so it does produce a little bit of a shape to the light when you're out and about. And the taillight is abundantly bright, definitely on the brighter side for default e-bike taillights. And of course, if you press the brake, here we go. I love how it gets brighter. It's very conventional. And if the light is off, let's turn that off. No light, but if you press the brake, you do get to activate the brake light. So that was me just tapping it. Yeah, holding the brake, and we get a tail light, which is great. The last couple things I want to show you guys, let's bring it down to the motor and its cable. So if you look in there, let me zoom in. Right there is that's like the axle for the rear wheel. And then you can see the little motor cable just kind of sandwiched in between. It's a little bit of a tight space, a little claustrophobic there. I do hope that that cable doesn't somehow get worn being there. It almost looks like it might be a little bit impacted or pinched. So we'll have to see how that manifests over the duration of time. Random detail, but if you are curious and you like to get into the weeds, the nut there is about 21 millimeters from my expectations. So I have yet to confirm that, but I do believe 21 millimeters. And the other thing I wanted to address is my handlebars up here. I tried tightening down. I ended up stripping these, and I was just really surprised how easily I was able to strip them. I wasn't going excessive force. I wasn't using like a big wrench or anything, but they stripped, and I immediately couldn't use the bike anymore. So fortunately, it's an easy fix, and they did offer to, and technically they're sending me this, but I just took it upon myself to fix this. It is these are M6 screws, and I just took, they're just like normal hex head there, and just took a nut to one side and was able to get them to clamp well and keep everything secure. The shiny stuff you see is just a little bit of anti-corrosion chemical that I've put on. I put everything on my bike to keep it nice and spiffy forever. I don't like to see the rust. I'd like to thank everybody for watching this, and of course, this is a battery that is the most massive ever experienced thus far, and I'm sure you're curious about the nature of its range. So I'm only 21.2 miles into it. I plan to get some riding footage, get some real data on its range. So just stay tuned and expect a video here in the next couple of weeks regarding that.